For Honda fans, today I think could be a day we remember going forward. This might be the last chance ever to buy a Honda vehicle in the United States or North America for that matter that's made in Japan. Honda is likely to be 100% North American made products going forward. Guys, check out this news. Honda to shift production of the US bound 5-door Civic hybrid to Indiana from Japan. Guys, if you're new to the channel here, I talk about car news every single day. So if you enjoy car news, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. It's New York International Auto Show, so I'll have so much new things coming out for you guys. The Palisade just got revealed. Subarus are doing reveals today as well. But we'll also, guys, stay afterwards after we lament over the Civic leaving Japan. But Honda Canada for April 15, 2025 on continued production status. So yesterday the news came out that Honda could be shifting most of its production to the United States from Canada. But we'll dive into this. There's a lot of thoughts I have on it. Honda to shift production of its US-bound 5-door Civic hybrid to Indiana from Japan. Now, you might be saying, Kirk, the Civic hybrid's already made in Indiana. It's also made in Alliston, Ontario, I believe is the town up in Canada where they make the Civic sedan hybrid, and they make the hatchback down in America, in Indiana. Now, the only vehicle we get from Japan, from Honda and Acura, is the Civic Type R. If the Civic Type R, it's a hatchback, right? If the hatchback, the 5-door, is being killed off in production in Japan, there might be a chance that the Type R could be killed off as well, at least for Japan production. It's a bit heresy, in my opinion, to have the Type R be built in the United States, but Honda has already said that there's nothing sacred anymore. And the reason is, I got two good reasons, all right? The Type S, Integra Type S, that's made here in the United States, okay? So, you know, it's not like that vehicle's much different than the Japanese-made, you know, Civic Type R. They're essentially rebadges of each other with different equipment, but it's very much the same car. One's built stateside, one is built in Japan. All right, so they've already proven that they don't need to make the Type R in Japan. In fact, since this is going out of the Japanese production, because I mean, Civics don't really. I mean, they have so many other vehicles that sell well, like the step wagon and stuff, the N-Box, the N1. Honda has so many vehicles, and they even have the Chinese-made Odyssey minivan that's sold in Japan. There's so many vehicles that sell better than a Civic. They don't need to make the Civic anymore there in Japan. I'm going to trust my gut here. I could be wrong, but why would they continue production on a Type R and not the hybrid? One's much higher volume than the other. You're saying they're just going to have production for a boutique model. It doesn't make sense from a large-scale manufacturer from Honda to continue making the Type R in Japan. Here's the thing. Here's the asterisk. They could make it at the Marysville auto plant. That's where the Integra, all the Integras, even the Type S, is currently made right now. But I want to go back to sacred cars, okay? Honda, like I said, the Type S doesn't need to be made in Japan. I know there's been other Acuras in the past that have had a Type S made in the United States. I know that. I'm pretty sure. Like, for example, the NSX. You would think the NSX would be the crown jewel of Honda and Acura, and they would never leave production from Japan to the United States. But what happened is that they made it in the PMC, the Performance Manufacturing Center. All right. Could they move the Integra Type S and the Civic Type R to the Performance Manufacturing Center? I wouldn't mind that. Yes, you know, the nostalgic and taking pride that your vehicle is built in Japan, but guys, the PMC is largely underused right now. They made the NSX there, and now they kind of use it for the fuel cell CRV. And sometimes they make the PMC, you know, special editions over there that are all hand built. I think that would be a good use of the craftsmen that built the NSX at the PMC to make the Type R and the Type S there. I would love that. It would make me happy, and I would be able to cope with the Civic Type R leaving Japanese production. All right, so it's leaving the Yori factory near Tokyo in June or July. I wonder if the Type R will leave production around there as well and start being made in Ohio. This is a big one too, guys. Honda Canada statement for April 15th, 2025, going to continue production status. Just to get you guys up to speed, yesterday I made a video that tons of production would be increased in the United States and potentially decreased in Mexico and Canada. That news was coming out of Nikkei Asia and later picked up by me and Automotive News and other sites. But there's a world where both reports here from Honda Canada and Nikkei Asia, saying mainly Nikkei Asia, like a lot of what they're saying is that they're ramping up production in the United States. There is a world where both of these news pieces can be true at the same time. All right, so what do I mean by that? Well, but let's read into what Honda Canada is saying first. This is not an announcement by Honda, and we cannot comment on the specifics of this morning's headlines. However, we confirm that our Canadian manufacturing facility in Allison, Ontario will operate at full capacity for the foreseeable future. No changes are being considered at this time. We constantly study options for future contingency planning and utilize short-term production shift strategies when required to mitigate I'm reading, my mind's reading fast so my tongue can keep up. To mitigate negative impacts on our business. As the second largest auto manufacturer in Canada by volume in 2024, General Motors has to be number one, would be my guess. Approximately 69% of all Honda vehicles sold in Canada are built in Canada. 99% of the vehicles sold here are sourced from North American facilities. This long-standing North American flexible and local manufacturing approach allows us to quickly adapt to various market conditions across the region, including making coordinated production shifts to specific models built at each facility, bound for various regions. We'll talk about that. Potentially new markets. Talk about that in a bit, depending on customer demand. But it's also mainly tariff demand at this point. All right, Canadian production will remain at full capacity thanks to domestic sales, which are up 9% in the first quarter, led by the Civic and the CR-V. All right, the Civic is the top-selling passenger car in Canada, and the hybrid CR-V is the best-selling hybrid in Canada. Since 1986, they've been building Hondas up there in Canada. So looking at the report yesterday of Honda hiring new workers, adding a third shift, working weekends is a reality that it's a potential reality. They don't have to siphon production volume away from Mexico or Canada entirely. All right. So Canada will continue, and I don't know what Mexico has said. There might be a press release from Mexico, but let's say Mexico has the same sort of thing to say here, is that they don't plan on reducing volume. Now, they can keep their plants running in Canada and Mexico, but those cars might not make it into the United States at the volume that they previously had due to tariffs, okay? So they might ship that production volume between Canada and Mexico, other countries, could be Europe. They can export these models to other countries that are not going to be slapped with a big tariff. Now, Honda could still ramp up production and run a bit hot in those plants in North America. Adding weekend shifts, a third shift, so it's an overnight shift. All right, that has its pros and cons to do that. There's a world where production in the United States really just ramps up to whet the appetite of the American domestic market, the United States domestic market. So we're not heavily reliant on the Canadian or Mexican vehicles. The thing is, yes, the Civic and the CR-V are built in the United States as well, and it makes sense that they would be able to ramp up production. The snag in yesterday's article is the HR-V and ADX. Those are built in Mexico, and they're not built, I don't know of anywhere else in the world that they're built. Now, the HR-V is called the ZR-V in other markets, but that wouldn't make its way into the United States because of tariffs. And there'd be less of a tariff of it being made in Mexico, more than likely, than it be made in Thailand or something. That's the big snag, is Honda doesn't have production capacity whatsoever of the HR-V or ADX in the United States. So I don't know how they would bring those vehicles online stateside without building another plant, at least in my narrow knowledge of Honda's manufacturing in the United States. It's fascinating. Could Nikkei Asia's article be a load of fluff? Could it be for the stock market, or could it be for political reasons that they're saying these things, that Honda is bringing more production into the United States? Maybe they would be exempt from tariffs in some situation. That's a possibility. I have no idea. It was a very detailed article from Nikkei Asia yesterday, and there has to be some truth to it. All right. And there's also, I believe, Honda Canada, that there's no plans on reducing production there. Honda could sell more cars. Guys, the demand for Hondas is high. They could absolutely sell more cars in the United States, in my opinion. Their incentives are low. Their days on the market are lower than the competition. So the market for Honda, they have room to grow in the United States. So they can keep increasing production one way or another. So very fascinating. I can't wait to see how this all evolves, not just for Honda, but all the manufacturers, the tariff situation. I just hope, I don't even know what to hope. I have no idea. I'm just so numb from it all that all I can do is kind of regurgitate what I hear on a daily basis. And it's something different every single day. And it makes my job entertaining. But having an opinion on it, it's just mind-numbing at this point, because you can have an opinion on it, and then based off of news that comes out the next day, your opinion's just no longer valid. So I don't have the energy to really put into having feelings one way or the other about all this stuff. I'm just here to relay it to you guys, give small opinions here and there. I want to see what you guys have to think. Sometimes you guys in the comments can enlighten me, and I really appreciate that. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think about the Civic Type R and its potential demise of Japanese production. It's a possibility with the Civic Hybrid leaving there. The Accord left there years ago. So yeah, I mean, they haven't had major Japanese production or available cars from Japan in the United States for a long, long time. And this could be the last straw. Thank you guys. I got to get my breath for the next live stream for Subaru here in a second. So have a great day, and peace.